Expected it. Like I said, before the season started, lightning and lightning, they kept asking me, who gonna be the thunder? Who gonna be the thunder? We don't need thunder. Lightning and lightning, double lightning strike. But it was a great day by Donovan, you know what I'm saying? I love seeing him hit the hole, run hard, and break those long ones. Career high, career day. It was beautiful, having another running back back there, doing this thing. So it was beautiful. Shout out to the old line, man. They were crushing it.
Shout out to the O-line. That right there, Blake Corum. Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum on the field after the game with Jenny Taft on Fox. Welcome in on this Saturday. Michigan wins at 41-17. We're on the Maize and Blue Review. We're taking your calls and Twitter Spaces. We are looking at your feedback. We've got former Michigan Wolverine Jim Scarcelli here to talk about this one and help you along. This was a game where Michigan came in and a tight first half and had to settle for some field goals. But, man, they came out. I don't know if they've ever played a better third quarter in the history of Michigan football. They end up winning at 41-17 over Penn State.
Yeah, so many great things to talk about. Our offensive line was outstanding. We moved and we blocked a defensive front full of 4- and 5-star guys. Our play calling was real good. Our defense was good. We gave up one big play. Our safety didn't find the ball, but it was just a real good, great team, great effort, man. Overall, players, coaching, weight room, Michigan was better in so many ways.
Yeah, I think you could have got a little bit spooked. We're getting into Halloween season at half because Michigan was playing so well and Penn State had more touchdowns than they had first downs. I mean, the Wolverines looked really good. Now they had to settle for some field goals in the first half. And then Penn State, Michigan didn't get a run fit on that long run by Clifford. And then they were able to score a touchdown. And then, the play where they end up getting the interception return for a touchdown, I look at that one as being unlucky, for Michigan. I mean, those things happen. But if you're like an naysayer or you think like you're doomed or something, you're like, I don't know if you can play a better game with the exception of two big plays, but you're sitting there in the dogfight. So you might have been worried at the half. What about that?
I was pretty confident because of the way our offense was playing, and our defense was playing good. We just our safety just didn't find the ball on that quarterback keep. We know they run that play, and he just didn't find the football. And it was by the time we found it was too late. See, I wouldn't call the interception. I wouldn't call that bad luck, Denny, because he should have thrown the ball with more, over the head of that guy. He threw it right into his armpit or almost into the face mask. I mean, I don't call that bad luck. We did get lucky. He broke out one time and he converted a first down where it was a high risk play. You remember that one early on before that where he got outside the pocket. Look, JJ did some really good things. His ability to run was huge today. We called the quarterback keep, the RPO quarterback keep stuff many times, 4 or 5 times. We called it and it was successful and it bailed us out. And then there was one time we ran and I said it early in the year, Denny. I said, this is why I wanted 2 quarterbacks. I said, I bet you we're going to run that Alex Orgy package. We will run it against Penn State. We will run it against Ohio State. We got to be able to have it with JJ. And we ran it one time in there, and it was a nice, beautiful run. But the quarterback run was up and running today. This was no play in Hawaii. We needed it, and we ran it, and it put their defense in conflict, and JJ's ability to run was huge.
Yeah, you're talking about the second quarter. In the first quarter, Michigan had to settle for those first 2 field goals, but then, they get an outstanding drive there where you're talking about that dangerous throw. I don't know if he was on his back foot and he just used his arm and just kind of slung it over there. That one looked really dangerous. You could even see the Penn State sideline looking like, they thought maybe they had one to, take back the distance. But really, it was, I think Harbaugh said it all. You looked at his face there, they cut to him. And he was just like, what are you doing? And it ended up, getting there to Corum. But Harbaugh's face said it all. But Corum, he got a TD on that 13 plays, 70 yards. They go up 13-0. And things are looking great, at that point. But then they get the 2 touchdowns. I thought it was a good it was a good answer to get down there and take the lead at halftime. You go in, you play that well. If you're sitting down there, you might be a little bit deflated if you're down 14-13 at the half. I know you said you liked everything, how everything's going, but it was important to come out, I thought, and be able to answer with that field goal drive. That they got it way down close to the goal line. You might even have thought that they wanted to go for it down there, but I thought that was important. Maybe not in the grand scheme of things, but at the time I thought so.
Yeah, because we were, I'm sure our guys were we were confident but discouraged because we knew we were dominating this game. We were running all over them. We were stopping them, but they had, they got the one play on our offense and they got the one play on our defense. So, and it reminded me of what Coach Mo used to always say to us on defense. It's like, the difference between offense and defense, offenses can get stuffed for 70 plays and break one play with a couple of missed tackles and win a football game. Defenses, you can have one bad play and lose a game. And it just kind of reminded me of that when I saw that big run. But, I'm kind of glad that Manny Diaz is there. I said it going in. I think the guy that left was really, really good defensive coordinator, the guys that's at Virginia Tech now. But I want to give credit to Moore and Weiss and the collaboration, because our collaboration and the play of our offensive players was huge. I thought we outcoached their defensive coaches. And the power play, was it beautiful today. I mean, for us to run the power play against a Penn State defense, because we couldn't run it very well at all last year against them. And we ran that darn power play. I got 7 times and 8 times, but one time was a TD. They stopped us maybe twice at the end. And that was encouraging to see our offense run our number one football play against a team that has big-time athletes, and they knew we wanted to run it, and we ran it against them. That was huge.
I was a little bit unsure on just how a good Penn State's run defense was, how good, Michigan had a lot of gaudy stats, like, the pass completion percentage for J.J. McCarthy, and both teams, you look at it, you just wondered if some of those numbers were inflated or whatever else. But Michigan coming out with the combination of Corum and Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards has had some breakout games. Last year it was late in the season. It was Maryland. He did it in the air where he had receiving, where he had 10 catches and 170 yards, and he had the 77-yard touchdown. But you hadn't seen him break out on the ground. You hadn't really seen him. He got hurt. And so, they're kind of maybe spoon feeding him coming back. But, today was a game where you'll talk about Donovan Edwards for a long time. I mean, he was awesome. And, the biggest play of the game, there's a lot of big plays in this game, and both running backs played exceptional. You already talked about the offensive line and J.J. McCarthy being able to run the ball. But the biggest play of the game was Donovan Edwards, breaking out after Penn State comes out and takes their first drive. They get a big pass play for 49 yards. They end up getting a field goal. They take the lead, but at a 67-yard run by Donovan Edwards, and that big playability, and Michigan took the lead. And they didn't look back after that. That was the biggest play of the game to me.
Yeah, what I like about it, though, is we got to have 2 running backs, man, because the Stokes kid fumbled the couple weeks back. We hadn't seen him again in a while. So Donovan Edwards today, he solidified. We got 2 running backs. I didn't like seeing him put the ball on the ground, that fumble one time.
No.
But he made some big plays. He had the big touchdown. He's a threat throwing the football to him. But both those guys played well. They made people miss. Donovan gets by the linebackers and he makes people miss. Corum made people miss all day long. The play, so many times, I don't know, the kids got both those guys, but Corum has got great vision, because I'm looking at the play. I know where it's designed to go, and he instantly he'll cut it way back against the grain and sees things that are just really, really good. And that's hard to defend, because the defense is saying, okay, the play's supposed to be run here, and man, you better be gap sound against Michigan, because Corum is going to find a seam.
I think heading into the year, people wondered, even big Michigan fans, if Michigan had, backs that could run between the tackles, who could pick up short yardage in situations where, short yardage situations are down there on the goal line. But Corum has demonstrated he is patient enough to find a hole, and, you need a yard, you need 2 yards. He's good at that. He's pretty powerful, actually, running between the tackles. And Edwards, I think he said heading into this year, I can run the ball between the tackles, because half of his carries in the non-conference before he got hurt, he was going right between the tackles, and it was like he was putting his head down. It was like he was a fullback. And you get him, the Edwards now I'm talking about, a little bit of space, and he's got a real burst, and you can just see him fly. I don't know if he's got, I think, excellent all-out speed, but he's got from a 0 to 100 speed, that burst, that acceleration that you really like as well. Let me just throw the numbers at you, Scar, and you just tell me about him. Edwards, 16 carries, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had the 67-yard, which was the biggest play of the game. Blake Corum, 28 carries, 166 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he had a long of 61 yards. I mean, that 1-2 combination was, as good as it gets.
Yeah, hey, outstanding play by both of them. The whole offensive, the whole deal was good. I mean, short yardage. Then we moved them. We moved that front. We needed a foot and a half, and I think we were 100% on that. We ran our ISO play. We ran our power play. We ran inside zone. We moved them. We did. We had our pick. I don't know how many times we punted. We didn't punt the ball too many times. We didn't have many negative plays. What's that?
I don't remember him punting.
I think we might have punted once. We didn't have hardly any negative plays. I mean, we did take a sack one time. Our protection was awesome. Our pass protection was outstanding. And then, JJ made some plays with his feet. Our tight end, we did some good things. Bredesen is young yet. He's got to get better. We jumped off sides a few times. But, then it was an overall, we know what, again, what went through my mind. People say, offense wins games, defense wins championships. We've heard that said. Well, today, I mean, our defense was good enough to win, but our offense was flat out outstanding in so many ways. We had the turnover, but there was a lot of people contributed to the success that the 2 great running backs had.
Yeah, for me, like with this team, and they've got lofty expectations after what they did last year, and then just looking at how the schedule had played out, a lot of people, you point to the second half of the season, and there were a lot of Michigan fans that were upset that Clemson moved in front of Michigan this week in the polls and pushed Michigan back to 5, and I couldn't really jump up and tell everybody, look, Michigan, they've done a nice job, they're undefeated and everything, but we're not sure if they're, it looks like they're for real. They got a lot of nice things going, but today, I think that's, there's a lot of things that are going on, especially right after the game. You talk about all phases, but taking a step back and looking at the whole thing, Michigan's for real. I think if you're a fan of Michigan and you wondered a little bit, you're hoping, you're excited about it. Michigan's for real. And, obviously the excitement is for real, but the next guy down, and Brad Robbins did not punt today. So no punts for Michigan. So Robbins will be nice and fresh and ready to go whenever he goes in there next time. But, you go over the rushing yards for the 2 backs, 173 and 166 for Edwards and Corum. But how about J.J. McCarthy? 7 carries, 57 yards. And I'll go through it a little bit here, but I'll say I know for sure that 2 where it was 3rd down and they needed, they needed JJ with his legs, and there he was, off running. And I'll go through it. I will bet that he had 7 carries. I bet 6 of those carries where you looked at him, you're like, man, they were money carries where they really needed him, where you say, that's a difference. That's the kind of difference that he can make as a dual threat quarterback. The way he was, when he elected to run 7 carries for 57 yards. What did you see from JJ when he decided to tuck it and take off?
Yeah, Denny, I've been saying that all year, man. You know, this kid is, the ability to run, step up in the pocket, get outside of the pocket, the RPA quarterback keep stuff. That's what separates it, man. And all that stresses the defense. You know, if you asked the Ohio State defensive coach or the Penn State defensive coaches, would they rather face the Michigan offense or the Ohio State offense? Because we can do a lot of things, man. Our quarterback can do a lot of things that kid at Ohio State can't do. So we are getting better. Our team is on the rise. We're getting ready. And we continue to need to get better. Where we need to be against the Buckeyes. But yeah, JJ was the ability to run and make those timely conversions and knowing where the first down marker is. They do that at practice. They always have the markers there so the guys know where to go to get the first down. And Denny, Clemson, I'll play Clemson any day of the week.
There you go, Scar.
Any day of the week, man. Clemson's I'll take our quarterback any day of the week over their guy. Offensive line, no, I play that. Look, there's 3 teams in the country that would be a problem. That's Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia. There ain't nobody else. Okay, and Michigan's right there with those guys. So the Clemson, I'll play them any day of the week.
We're just, you say just chilling after the game, but there is, the adrenaline is flowing after the game. I'm pretty excited. That's Jim Scarcelli, the former Wolverine, who is a teammate of Jim Harbaugh back in Harbaugh's playing days. Harbaugh talking about how McCarthy reminds him so much of himself. And a member of the Maize and Blue staff, Trevor McHugh, is out there, and he joins us on the Maize and Blue Michigan football post-game live. Trevor, it's always great to talk with you. What did you think of this game?
That's a Michigan win right there, isn't it? Just showing toughness on the offensive and defensive line, coming out and just running it down and destroying narratives, right? We were uncomfortably optimistic in the Migler Review group because the numbers, everyone's talking Penn State, number 5 run defense, they're going to, even Urban Meyer right before the game basically said, well, we know Penn State's going to slow down the run game. No, we didn't, right? And Michigan proved it. The analytics were showing that this probably Michigan's just going to, when it comes down to it, they are going to outstrength you. And it's just a dominant win. I'm glad the score matched what felt like the dominant win at the end there. I know some people were unhappy at halftime, but hey, 2 plays break the wrong way for the Wolverines. They come back in the second half and finish the job. What a great win for that team.
Hey Trevor, I liked, and you probably, had a dozen tweets during the game, maybe more, and maybe that many before the game, but one of them stood out to me. You said you felt like this was a day where you didn't know who it was going to be, but somebody was just going to emerge and just have that, fantastic game. And I think the guy, now that we're sitting here after the fact, you said it before the game, but Donovan Edwards, 16 carries, 173 yards, biggest play of the game, 2 touchdowns for number 7, who was outstanding. Whatever you can say, emerged, the game of his life, game of his career so far. This was it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's my prediction as well, because he's back to full health. And again, if you're just, all week we're breaking down the statistics and trying to find matchups and things like that. And Penn State's defense, their edge was getting a lot of attention, and those 2 corners, King and Porter, were getting a lot of attention. What wasn't getting talked about was how weak their linebackers are and how soft their defensive tackles are. This game was set up perfect for Donovan Edwards, and we saw it. Michigan executed the game plan perfectly. Nice little reminder, the coaches do know more than us. So, yeah, Edwards, great game. Not shocked to see it. And, man, Corum and Edwards, both 100% healthy. We got to see that 1-2 punch that we all thought could be the best in the country, and today they showed it. That is the best running back duo in the country.
Well, we're 20 minutes in. The only thing I've talked about is J.J. McCarthy, Donovan Edwards, and Blake Corum in Robbins not punting at all. What else? Give us something else that jumped out to you.
Man, the defense, right? Again, offensive line, defensive line, right? They won in the trenches. Cliche, whatever you want to say. I know Jim was talking about it. Like that's how you win football games, right? And being balanced. So that defensive line was unbelievable today. Again, another thing we heard all week when I'm going on the radio and talking to folks about these great freshman running backs Penn State's got. You know, they've been struggling to find a running game since Saquon Barkley left. And, what are these two running backs going to do? And there was never going to be an option there, right? And Klatt pulled it out a few times during the game. Michigan was only bringing 4. They only needed 4 all game. And then that secondary, again, Turner did get beat on that one deep throw, but Turner, Green, Sainristil, Johnson, I mean, those guys, when you know you can leave your men on an island and run man defense like that and let the other guys go eat and stop the run and get up to the quarterback, that is the perfect formula for a defense. And that's a championship caliber defense. We keep talking all offseason, all year. You know, is the defense going to be less with Hutchinson gone? Is it going to be different? Could it be better? Right now, I'm very confident saying this. That defense is better than last year.
Let's hear Scar talk about the defense a little bit, because I've just been peppering him with questions about the offense. Scar, what about the defense in this game here? Michigan gave up that pick 6, and they gave up that big run. So, you can play this game. Hey, you take it away, but really, so they gave up 10 points.
Danny, our first 6 games, we were pretty much able to make teams one-dimensional. And I said before the Penn State game, I said, no, we're not going to be able to make Penn State one-dimensional because they're going to have the ability to run on first down, throw on. But guess what? We made them one-dimensional. I mean, we made them one-dimensional early on. When they're coming out empty, I'm like, they came out empty right out of the blocks. It's like they are throwing the towel. When a team comes out empty like that, they're throwing the towel in. We can't run on you. So that was it. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, we just got to tackle. We just got to play this empty game. But we had a flat wall on defense. We stopped their run. Like I said, we didn't get a great deal of 4-man pressure on first down, second down pass plays because we had to play run. But we got pressure with 4 men when we started to make the substitutions, get our extra edge players in the game. Later in the game is when we started getting the pressure from that. But but you got to get him in 3rd and long so you can bring those bodies in. Mozzie played real good. I thought he played a little. I think they need to get Mozzie out later in the game, Danny. I thought he was a little tired rushing the quarterback. I would have taken him out. We get 3rd and long. I'd put 4 edge guys in the game. But we played a lot of edge players, and I thought Junior played pretty good in there because this was a better game for him. A little more run stuff. Junior's good on that run stuff, and Mullings has got to get better. He took a bad angle on a blitz one time, missed a guy on a blitz one time, but he hasn't played a lot. Those guys got to keep getting reps, but overall, darn good defense. Moore's got to find the football, man. Go look at that play, Denny, that big long touchdown. He's got to find the football.
You're talking about on the 62-yard run?
Yeah, on the run. He didn't know where the ball was, and you can't overcommit to. They only run so many plays. He should have been smarter to know that they do have that quarterback running off of that action, and he overcommitted to the run that wasn't there. But
That's Jim Scarcelli. I'm Dennis Fithian. We've got Trevor McHugh on the line. If you're out there, you want to get in, you can. We're putting your feedback up on the screen as well. For me on the defensive side, in the first quarter, you mentioned Colson. I had him down, but Mike Morris made a big play at a 3rd down. Jalen Harrell was in there. He's making some big stops on the line of scrimmage. And then maybe the biggest play for the Michigan defense after Penn State comes out in the second half and they hit their big 49-yard pass play and they get a 27-yard field goal to go up 17-14. The biggest play of the game was the 67-yard run by Donovan Edwards. But Penn State comes back with their second possession and, they're driving and they end up with a 4th and 6. And I'll give it up to Agent Zero, Mike Sainristil. They whatever. I didn't really like that pass play. If I was a Penn State fan, it was like a low degree, like they had to kind of pop fly it over his head to land it in there. A low degree of a chance of that happening, but Sainristil was it there with the coverage and maybe made him do it that way. But I thought that was the biggest play of the game defensively, where Michigan turns him over on downs, 4th and 6, and then Michigan comes out and then Corum sandwiches that 67-yard run with a 61-yard run himself. Game's over at that point. So I'll give it up to Sanders still with the biggest defensive play of the game. What'd you think, Trevor?
Yeah, for sure. I was surprised they, like you said, with the call and even targeting him there to begin with. We've talked about Sanders still all year. What a burst he's been to that defense, and just how surprising how good he's been, converting from linebacker in the first year. Wide receiver. Not sure where that came from. But I mean, there's a great example, right? That's past wide receiver experience paying off right there on that route. He knew exactly where to be. So yeah, a lot of the guys on the defense stepped up. I think that's why I'm so hyped up about them right now. Is this wasn't a game where like maybe one guy dominated, and I saw a lot of guys that have maybe had some issues clean up. Jim called out Colson. He's a guy we've been picking on. He played really well today. Also, like you said with Mazi's playing a lot of snaps for a big defensive tackle. So part of the bet is, the tempo these teams are running and the lack of substitutions coming in. But Taylor Upshaw, a guy that's been picked on a little bit, played well today. Chris Jenkins has continued to be a quiet force next to Mazi inside there. You called out Morris as well. But yeah, the secondary, I mean, I'll be interested to go back and watch the film, how they've, whether it was Jalen Harrell or Sane Rastil or one of the safeties, how they continue to kind of adjust to the issues that have been with the linebacker pass coverage. Because I expected Penn State to attack the middle of the field in this game, especially with that tight end Strange that they have. Their offensive game plan, I don't know if, like Jim said, Penn State just gave up on the run early and decided there was no way they were going to be able to run it, and that changed everything or what. But I was really surprised with just the lack of game plan, or the lack of attacking the middle from the Penn State game plan today.
Hey, Trevor, they tried to, man. And our coaches and our players, I mean, Jenkins, there's another guy. You probably didn't hear his name called often, but Jenkins was outstanding. Playing his gap, not getting knocked off the ball. He was outstanding. To take their run game away, that play caller for Penn State had to be just shaking his head. We got all these highly recruited kids, and Michigan's running the ball against their defense, and Penn State could not run the ball against our defense. And that you can talk about this play or that play, but that was that was the deal right there. And it was a combination of Minner having great scheme, our players playing with great technique and playing smart, and it was just a beautiful thing to see.
Go ahead, Trevor. Trevor?
Okay. Oh, sorry about that.
We're
back. Oh, no. I mean, he's spot on. I mean, to give up on it, and God, it felt like, the end of the first, early, I mean, they didn't have the ball till later in the second there, but they just gave up on it right away, not even trying. But yeah, that's Big Ten football, right? Who stops the run and who can run the ball, and Michigan did both at an elite level today.
Well, it's like Michigan, you mentioned we were all sitting around at the half. I'd never seen a game where it looked like Michigan had dominated so much, at the half. And yet, they're sitting there just with that little 2-point lead. And you're thinking it was just two plays, the interception and that 62-yard run. But I don't know what Penn State was thinking about at the half, but you got to give it to them. They come out, they hit a big play, they get a field goal. So they take the lead back. They got to feel pretty good. But then, the next two series, that's where you have the two big runs. Just like Michigan, you say you really don't want to give up. Nobody's wanting to give up plays of more than 20, 25 yards. Michigan gave up that 62-yard run, but then to hit them on back-to-back series and hit him with a 67-yard touchdown run from Donovan Edwards, get him a stop on fourth down when they're going for it and get him down on downs, and then come back and hit him with a 61-yard run over the top with two different backs. I mean, their head's spinning. The game is over, and it's just an onslaught after that. And that was really, just dropping them on the canvas and knocking them out at that point. I said it, I'll say that. I don't know if Michigan's ever played in a bigger spot. I don't know if they've ever played a better quarter than they played. Maybe Notre Dame in '97, because the offense turned it over 3 times in the fourth quarter, and the defense had to step up to win that game. They went on to win the national championship 25 years ago. But coming up in the third quarter and playing like they did today, you're not going to find too many better offensive performances by the Wolverines. And you can start going back to Fielding Yost if you want.
Yeah, Fielding would have loved that game, that performance. I know Schembechler loved that performance. A lot of recruits at the game, recruits watching Michigan roll, recruits. I remember as a young recruit being in the locker room after a game like that. That matters big time, man. They're singing the victors. Recruits are seeing all that. That stuff matters. Now, Denny, we got a week off. See, this is one of the times I wish we were playing them Spartans next week. We're fired up. We got momentum. The week off, we'll do the right thing with the week off. But, don't underestimate how important that is with all those recruits that were at that game.
Trevor, what about the bye week and the recruits that were at their game here? Scar's talking about it. I'll just let you follow up on that one.
Yeah, so the bye week portion of it, yeah, sometimes you need it badly, and sometimes you wish you could keep playing. This is definitely one of those situations where, since the second half of Indiana, Michigan's really starting to find that identity. They're rolling, and yeah, you really wish Michigan State was coming to town next week. Both teams on a bye, so we're going to have a lot of fun the next 2 weeks in the state of Michigan with both Michigan and Michigan State on a bye for the next 2 weeks. Spartans probably aren't going to be talking as much because of how poorly they've been playing, but still 2 weeks, looking forward to it. But Blake Corum, they're talking to him about Heisman and everything else after the game, and he right away was like, "No, Michigan State's next." And they've been treating that game very similarly to how they treated Ohio State last year. They are not happy about that L, and I do not expect any sort of letdown after the bye week from the Wolverines.
Well, I saw them both. They both talking about Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum after the game. But there might be a case where you could say that they both need the bye week because Blake came out, and when it was in the fourth quarter, it was on the same series. Michigan ultimately, Donovan Edwards, looks great. He ends up scoring and gets the touchdown there to go up 41-17. But Corum got a little bit, looked like his on the Gus Johnson said he came up gimpy, which is a fine way to describe it. He definitely looked like he got his left leg, caught under him a little bit there. So he was hopping. Well, so the possibility he didn't return in the game, but he looked good afterwards. And then Edwards maybe a little of that as well. So maybe those guys, the bye week actually is coming at a great time for Michigan for their 1-2 punch to rest up for the Spartans. But the one thing I'll ask both of you guys, and I know Trevor, you got a lot of things to do, so I'll ask you first, and I'll ask Scar to come back. As much as Michigan, ran all over Penn State, ran wild over the number 5 rush defense in the country and all that, and they have 2 weeks to go against Michigan State. When you look at Michigan State in the matchup, the Spartans are pretty good. If you look at what they do best, it is stopping the run, supposedly, but some teams have had some success, but where it really looks like it's an easy ticket is through the air. It looks like you just throw all day on Michigan State. What about that?
Yeah, Michigan tends to not try to win through the air unless they have to, right? Like they want to win the game running the ball. So I thought JJ, offensive play calling wise, obviously we saw JJ running it a little bit more and some other things that were happening. I do think they opened it up a little bit this week, but they're just not going to put JJ, regardless of the matchup, if they can run the ball, they're just not going to have JJ throwing it too much. Now, Michigan State's a unique situation. You're right. There's a lot of holes in that secondary, but last year, Michigan against Michigan State came out. That was one of Cade's better games. They were throwing the ball quite a bit, but never got the run game going. That kind of came back to bite him at the end there. So, yeah, the opportunities are going to be there at some point. I think you got to let JJ throw it deep again and hope he can get his confidence back. Instead of, the 3 for 15 now on throws over 20 yards. You got to start letting him throw it just so he can have that confidence that he can hit that shot. But you've got the best O-line in the country. You've got the best running back in the country. And I don't know how much farther down the list Donovan Edwards is, but you've probably got 2 top 10 backs in the country playing against the best offense, behind the best offensive line. So, yeah, if it's there, sure, let JJ throw it a little bit. But if you don't have to, why do it? Just keep pounding that rock.
There you go. Anything else, Trevor, that you wanted to say?
No, sir. Just big win. Gonna enjoy the bye week, and on to the next, guys.
Well, we look forward to seeing your writing on the Maize and Blue Review, your stock report, by Monday that comes out. That is a very interesting read where you do take stock in all the phases of the game. And we're going to be leaning on you because we need a lot of we're going to need a lot of material from you with a bye week and everything else coming up.
Yeah, I appreciate you, buddy. I'm heading to go start writing that right now. So you guys have a great day, and yeah, we'll get that content out for you.
Well, there you go. I thought you'd be heading to a tailgate or something. So,
All right, Trevor, go blue.
there he is.
Go Blue, sir.
It's Trevor. He's not going to a tailgate. Scar. He's heading home to start writing about Michigan State right now. Or write about this game. How about that? Look at that.
Hey,
What
man, that's how the great ones think, man. That's how Coach Harbaugh's thinking. He's not celebrating this game. They're thinking Spartans, man. But you know what's funny? I wrote down on my notes as the game was winding down there. I wrote 55-10. I'm like, that's the score this game should be. And once you know it, 2 minutes later, that's what Joel comes on and says the same thing. This score should have been 55-10. It could have easily been like that. I couldn't believe how easily we were able to shut down their run game, a run game that we've always didn't struggle with, but nothing was easy. And then how easy we were able to move the football. So that was a really good sign. And I got to give a lot of credit again, Denny. I just want to give a lot of credit again to our coaches and our technique. I think we were lower, we were better, we were sounder. We knew what they were doing a little bit better than what they knew that we were doing. So I just, again, this is an overall everybody involved win. And I'm looking at, I know a lot of people want to talk about the skill players all the time, the guys that score touchdowns, but I'm an old coach, and I saw a total Jim Harbaugh from top down victory, from Jim Harbaugh to the 130th guy on that roster. They all contributed. It was just an overall win, man.
Well, I'll buy that, Scar. This was a Michigan program flex today, all throughout, right?
Yeah.
From the coaching staff all the way through to the running game, to McCarthy, the decision to have him. You saw it today, what he's able to do when, they need him to pick up some extra yards. The defense was flying around. This was a real program flex. Let's flex it back to the lines, and I think it's Fells. Let me first of all have to try to punch him up here. It's taking me a second. First, I'll follow him on Twitter. How about that, Fells? And then it's taking me 1 second. Oh, I've got to just hit the request button, and there it is. Fells, what's up, man? And you're on. You're on with Jim Scarcelli, Dennis Fithian. Michigan rolls 41-17 over Penn State. What did you think?
Well, I mean, I predicted 41-17 on another space talking to Broom, but it is what it is. I ain't gonna say I'm a fortune teller. Now they Penn State suck.
If you predict, I don't know. I don't care who you predicted with. You get predicted it's Santa Claus. That's a nice prediction.
Yeah, but Penn State got a few gifts. This is what I want to say. You all have touched on everything I want to touch on. I think Blake is the best running back in the country. I think Blake and Donovan are the two best running backs in the conference. But this is what I'm starting to see, because the old State fans are coming out saying, well, now Penn State's overrated, and if we can stop the running game, we're going to win. I don't have a concern about the passing game, because eventually it's going to get open. But when it does open up, when it clicks with the running game, can anybody in the conference realistically beat Michigan the way they run other teams, that wear them down with the offensive and defensive line? Do you all think that? I don't.
Go ahead, Scar. What do you think?
Well, listen, we've been doing some real good things. I mean, we struggle against Maryland. Maryland, a lot of it depends on the matchup, the game plan the coaches put together, and our coaches were better today. Our players were better today. Talking about the receivers, our receivers had separation many times. Did a better job of getting separation. But to answer your question, look, Ohio State is there. They are out there at the end of our schedule, and that's going to be the question. That's the thing I wanted to see is Ohio State going to be able to stop this Michigan in-your-face run game? The power play, our isolation play, our inside-outside zone. We ran them all pretty much at will today. So that's the big question, man. We're just trying to keep getting better. To hopefully when we do roll into Columbus, we can do the same things today against them.
And I'll tell you this, fellas, I always look at it. There's really, it can change as the years and certainly 2 or 3 years go by. But right now there's 3 teams that you're looking at that and it's, Alabama, and you put Georgia in that category, and you put Ohio State. Michigan's always judged by, what they're going to do against Ohio State. So you're always, with Michigan being the 4th or 5th ranked team in the country, people are always going to say, who did they beat? Penn State, but it was as predictable as, the sun going down today, that there's going to be people that are coming out and say, wow, Penn State must really suck, or Michigan, they're getting real lucky because they don't have to play anybody. That is, you already know that. And a lot of that comes from Ohio State fans. A lot of that comes from the national media, because Michigan is so high up in the polls. You're always going to be like, is this team really worthy of being in the college football playoff? And we look at those 3 teams, and we all have a tier there. And then there's that 4th team. Is it Clemson? Is it Michigan? Is it Oklahoma State? Is it USC? Whoever else that you want to put in there. And is it Tennessee? They're always going to be saying, look, Michigan hasn't played anybody. So you have to deal with that. You have to know that. But the thing that Michigan did today, they came out, they had a program flex. I know there were 2 plays that went against them in the first half, but, they were dominant really in this game. You don't pull out a 62-yard play. Yeah. You don't say this, or, they rolled Penn State, and they were impressive in doing so.
What else, fellas? Any more thoughts?
Well, I'm just one more as far as O State and what you all think about it, because I think the hard part of their schedule is coming up. They play Maryland the week before Michigan does. Could you all see them softening O State, because O State doesn't have a good secondary? Say O State loses that game and Michigan goes into the game 11-0. Would you all want an O State 11-0 team, or does 10-1 matter to you all? Because I don't think O State gets there undefeated. I just don't. That defense is just not that good. It looks good now, but
you're right, man. Hey, let me tell you, they go to Maryland the week before they play us, and they've had trouble down there. They were down there a couple years ago and struggled. And that game with Leah at quarterback, to answer your question, to be honest with you, I want Ohio State to lose every time they play football. Okay, period, because it affects recruiting. Anything that hurts Ohio State's recruiting is good for Michigan. Anything that hurts the recruiting is good for Michigan. So always remember that, fellas. We don't want them winning nothing, okay? Because we want recruits that are committed to start. I don't know. Maybe we better take a look what's going on in Ann Arbor. We want some of them 4- and 5-star guys that are already committed to start having doubts. And just that one loss against us might not be enough. If they get knocked off by Maryland, get knocked off by us, lose a bowl game, those things can all have an impact on what's going on inside of a recruit's head. So I want them to lose. I want Michigan to start, to get kids that they got committed.
Fellas, we appreciate the call. You can call anytime. We're on after every Michigan football and, basketball game. So keep that tucked in your back pocket. And I don't care if Ohio State wins or loses. If Michigan goes into Columbus 11-0 on November 25th, and it's 2 teams, this is going to be probably a top 3 matchup at that point. Bring it on,
Mm-hmm.
So. I don't care if they win or I don't care if they win or lose. If you want to drop 3-4 games, it's probably unlikely. But go down there and beat them. Michigan's got to go down there and beat them any way it goes. So even if they beat Maryland, that you could start saying that that could be a bad thing for Michigan, because that could focus them in, and then they know that they'll have to beat Michigan if they want to have a chance to get some brownie points in the Big Ten championship and still make the college football playoff. Bring them on. Just know that if Michigan runs the ball like they did today, and J.J. McCarthy continues to play and elevate his game, the trajectory that he's on, I think Michigan has the firepower to stay with Ohio State's offense. And, this defense, every week looks like they're getting a little bit better as well. So bring them on. Let's go.
I hear you. Go blue, baby.
There you go.
All right, Sals, go blue. Denny, I tell you, Denny, let me tell you.
All right, y'all have a good night.
You too.
All right, fellas, you too, brother. Listen, That's my mentality about our main rivals is we want them to have problems. I want them to be thinking about firing their offensive coordinator or maybe their defensive coordinator again, just like we got their defensive coordinator fired. That's problems. That's chaos. We want our camp tight. We want everybody all the love within our coaching staff. We want problems for them.
A quick look at some of the feedback as Jesse says Michigan can play with anyone in the country. He does not agree that top team thing is a myth. A little bit of a tongue twister there, Jesse. He doesn't believe it's Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, and everyone else. He thinks that's a myth.
Well, Danny, maybe I don't know if he misunderstood what I was saying. I'll play Clemson any day of the week, and I'll also play them other three guys too. Okay, but I'm just saying they are on us four. I think are the best four teams in the country. I'll play Clemson and anybody below us. I've watched those teams play. Oregon, Ole Miss. I'll play all of them. It's the guys that are those top four that are the real deal.
No, I think you're coming through loud and clear, Scar. I think Jesse, I've seen during the week, because I put up the polls at some time during the week when I have the Good Afternoon Michigan Football Show live weekdays at 1 o'clock. And I have been saying that there's a tier of the top three teams and everyone else. And there's a lot of Michigan fans that have been upset about that. And I think Jesse's one of them. And, after the way Michigan played today, Jesse, you're looking a lot better. And saying that this is a little myth that there's no three-team tier. And he's also pointing out that, look at the scoreboard. And let's look at the scoreboard. And we're going to watch a little film here as well for one drive. I've got a couple plays. Scar can go through it. A reminder, talking about the Monday show at 1 o'clock, the weekday show that's live at 1 o'clock. Jim Scarcelli will be on there at 1 o'clock. He'll pull 4, 5, 6, 7 plays out, and he'll have some film analysis. We've got a score from up in East Lansing. Wisconsin is leading Michigan State 7-0 with 6:15 to play in the first quarter. Elsewhere in the top 25, we'll take a look at it. Jesse had mentioned that Tennessee was beating Alabama right now. That's what made me interested to look at the scoreboard right now. And Jesse is absolutely right. Scar, Tennessee's not only beating Alabama, they're up 21-7 in the first quarter on the Tide. So how about the Vols being up 21-7 in the first quarter on Alabama?
You go on the road, just like us going to Iowa, going to Indiana. People take those things for granted. And I know Tennessee might be a little tougher, but it's going on the road. Those are big-time players. And, yeah, Danny, every Monday now, Scar's on Mondays with the telestrator. And we're going to break down some plays, go good 15, 20 minutes. And I'm going to get into some stuff on Lloyd Carr and the tunnel, and we'll have a good show on Monday. But, hey, Danny, real quick, while you're getting that play up, I just want to quickly go over our kick coverage, our special teams. Our kickoff coverage was good. Kicked off a lot. Pollard sticking them down there, big tackle down there, young freshman. Hennings continues to do a good job on punt return. And how about our kicker again? Didn't miss a kick. So that's all good stuff, man. That we didn't know if it was going to be a factor in a real close game, but again, Jay Harbaugh continuing to do a great job on the special teams.
All right, one other score. You can get in on this one. Illinois did not have their starting quarterback, I don't think, in this game today, and they were getting 7.
Danny, he played, man.
Did he play? Okay.
Yeah, you can tell Bielema played for old Hayden Fry. Hayden Fry used to do that. He'd say, at the beginning of the week that, half his team is all beat up and busted up. And,
okay.
Yeah, but the transfer played. He had a little limp, but he played outstanding, and they end up beating Minnesota pretty good. So, yeah, Illinois, before we play the Buckeyes, will be a tough test.
Yeah, 26
battle for us. We can't.
26-14 was the final there. Illinois, they're ranked 24, so they'll only be going up, and that is November the 19th. And then you're right, November the 25th is Ohio State. So the final two games. So not quite the cakewalk that people will talk about. Jesse, I'm not upset either, but you have your opinion, and I like that you have. I like people that have opinions, and they're not afraid to show them. All right, Scar, we're going to take you to the second half. And for that, let me just put the full screen on here so everybody knows exactly what's going on. JJ has a great run on this one. This is also the play of the game offensively for Michigan, where it ends up with Donovan Edwards coming up with the gigantic play as well. And we'll let this one roll over a little bit. You can talk about what you see from where we are at. Again, this is the third quarter. 17-16, Penn State has taken the lead, and Michigan, this is their first series in the second half, and this is the 3rd and 4, and this was Michigan in need of picking up this 3rd and 4 here.
We run them down here on the sideline, I think.
I think JJ picks up the first down with his legs here.
Oh, yeah, he beat this guy, goes too wide, and, just takes – he knows where the first down marker is. Yeah, the outside backer, the edge player from Penn State, got to come under control. It's amazing. I watch these guys. That's the position I played. They don't know how fast JJ is. And Edwards has got, don't hold him, Donovan. Don't hold him. We don't need a penalty there. But JJ steps up in the pocket and makes a play with his legs. Donovan gets him just good enough, gets him blocked. But that's a weakness, man. Weakness of that of rushing upfield so fast like that. Here's the power play, Denny. Beautiful. Look at how we blocked that thing. I mean, he's untouched and just uses speed. It's just awesome. But it was a well blocked play, and it was executed, and he's untouched, and it's all good stuff. And I did not think we would run the power play as well today as we did. Again, the guy last year, Pry, he took that play away from us. Like the guy at here we go. Watch the nice down block by our tight end, and we pull our center, and then we pull our center and our play side guard. We get a kick out. It's just how we block it a lot of different ways. We'll pull different people, but it's always the same thing. You got to have a big tight end that is big enough, strong enough, tough enough to come down and block a big defensive tackle. And Scooney's been doing that all year. And it's here we go for the 2-point conversion. And this is I
was debating whether or not they should have gone for it. I thought this was a little bit early, but when you make it, and I usually look at the end of the third quarter, certainly the fourth quarter, but this is early third quarter. They decided to go for the 2-point conversion.
We make a nice throw, nice catch. It's hard to defend in that formation. And again, we got to give our coaches credit, because Jim has a tendency, it's just in his DNA. He wants to slam it in there. He wants to, come with tight ends and try to power it. You just ran your power play for 60 yards, and now you're thinking, okay, let's run the same down play. But, the defenses are going to load up on it, and this is just a creative, courageous, unpredictable offensive play callers that we had plenty of today. So that was great stuff there, Denny.
All right, let's take some of the feedback and see what the people are saying here. You have any questions for Scar? Any points that you want to make, go ahead and put it up on the screen. Antoine saying that's why JJ gets stuck with holding the ball, because Michigan's simple route concepts, we need to run comeback routes and double move routes. He's saying, look at all of them hitch routes they run 5 yards to turn around. That's why no one's open. It's easy to cover. He says all the routes were bunched up and only 5 yards up the field, turn around. Who can't cover those simple concepts? What do you think what Antoine is saying here?
I don't know, Antoine. I'd have to. It's interesting because they were overplaying some of our short stuff. People know that Michigan likes to do it at times. We did it last week a lot at times, but in general, I think we've been somewhat creative and not consistent with running predictable routes. So I don't know. There's always room for improvement. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, that we are predictable there. Maybe that's how Antoine's seeing it. But
well, I'll tell you how I saw it today. I thought Michigan went right down the field on Ohio State. I'm sorry, on Penn State, and got down to the red zone and stalled out in the first quarter, had to settle for a field goal. That will happen. JJ had, the play where they threw the ball. They had Donovan Edwards in motion that he came back. That's a pro-type play. I see that when Devontae Adams was in Green Bay along with Aaron Rodgers, they ran that. You got to be on the same page. They had the play that they wanted, and, JJ overshot Donovan Edwards. That one blew up, and they ended up, having to kick the field goal. The next time they came down there, they tried what Andy Reid does. You want to get, down there and get creative. Well, what do? What do the Chiefs do with Travis Kelce? What do they do with their running backs? They run that shuffle pass inside the 5 down there on the goal line because it's creative, and that's what people want to see. Michigan tried it. It didn't work. They tried to shuffle that pass ahead the second time they got down there, and they had to kick a field goal. So, they're going right down the field. If they end up getting that, Michigan maybe scored 60 points in this game. So, I don't really have, sure, you want them to take a next step offensively. I would like them to be able to target the middle of the field and hit some bombs and take the top off the defense. That is the next step. This team isn't right now. You're going to say, bring on Ohio State. Let's go. Ready to blow everybody's doors off. I don't think they're quite yet there. They took a step forward today with the running game and everything, but I think there's a little bit more for the passing game. But all this tiptoeing and all that, I think that's fan stuff a little bit too much, Antoine. I think maybe you're putting your coach's hat on a little bit too much. I think they're doing all right when it comes down to the offense and marrying up the routes and what JJ can do and with the running game. So I'm going to throw the flag on you, Antoine. I think you're off today.
Yeah. So, Denny, our receivers, we had some separation today. Not much from Andrell Anthony. We threw one hitch pass to him. I hope he's not getting too frustrated, but overall it was a good performance, but the pass game, yes, I'd like to see some more deep passing, Denny. We'd like to see that. But again, that Penn State secondary, and maybe that was part of their philosophy defensively, was to really hammer in on taking away the deep pass and some of those things. Maybe that's why they were susceptible to some of that inside run stuff. So it's a lot of times, just like talking about Michigan State, people want to keep talking about Michigan State's secondary. Their secondary, they don't stop the pass. Well, maybe that's the coach's philosophy. That's their philosophy as a defense, is that we're going to overplay run sometimes, because we don't want them to throw it. But when you do that, you put your defense in trouble. So, I hear what you're saying, Antoine, on these simple routes. That and JJ, he held it at one time a little bit too much. But we're going to keep getting better.
Scar, you got another thought or two? And anybody want to get in? You've got any feedback? You want to watch some more tape? I mean, what are we talking about here? You ready for me to go on and start watching some football into the night? I'll stay around all night. What do you got?
Dan, if you want to put one more film on, and then we can wrap it up. But it was just a lot of good things, man. If you want to talk about some things that were kind of irritated me, we Morris lines up offsides one time. Then we get caught with 12 men on the field one time. And, then I thought that was a terrible penalty they called on Bredesen for not – they said he had our tight end covered. I mean, he was off the ball. I thought that was a terrible call. Okay, let's take a look at this. Here's 2nd and 2. We're in our base we got our base package in there. Benny didn't play much at all. I would have played Benny more in there for Mozzie. I thought Mozzie, like I said, I thought he played tired a lot. But, nothing was easy for them. Here's short yardage, but, we slow it down. And there's Rod Moore coming in there hitting people. But, yeah, they just could not get their one-back run game going at all against Michigan.
Yeah, just for people that might be tuning in, this was the start of the third quarter. Penn State had hit the big pass. There was a Turner almost had a pick 6. You thought, man, this game had been over if and it ended up being in the next series, but it would have been over earlier if he would have been able to catch that one. But Penn State gets a field goal on their opening drive. Michigan comes back and gets the 67-yard run from Donovan Edwards, and then Penn State is coming back here and coming up on the 4th down. We're going to see the biggest defensive play of the game from Mike Sainristil. And so that's just a couple of way here.
Here's empty. And we just it's all empty, man. Because they just have so much respect for our run defense, and we get them right out of bounds. That's just that's a team that is scared. If a team is doing that to me, we have accomplished something defensively. Because that offensive coach for them is like, I don't think we can run the ball on these guys. Here we go.
This might be the Will Johnson hit, which I really liked.
Here's 3rd and 8. We got looks like normal personnel. We got 2 defensive tackles in the game, 2 edge players in the game. And they're in 1 back set. Looks like 2 tight ends. And he makes a play here. Yeah, he stepped up. Their quarterback makes plays. He's an athletic kid. He's been around. But you know what, Denny? He's just good enough to beat. I'll take our guy. You can have that guy. He's okay. And I think we get caught with 12 on the field.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's something that that's going to happen. You had that happen to Michigan last year against Michigan State. I don't know if they thought you can't sub there. I mean, that's the
you just got to know it, man. That's they got to see. They didn't make a substitution. We do it. Everybody's trying to screw the other guy with when they do make a substitution. You trot off the field about as slow as you can get. Then you bring another 300-pounder in there to trot back on the field. But, we cannot have that against the Buckeyes. We can't have that if we get in a tight game at Michigan State. Here we go with normal personnel. Graham is continuing to play solid as a freshman. I thought him and Jenkins were real good today. Let's see us. Here's some we get some pressure. Morris is good at the top. That's what we want. Get outside, contain. He plays it and comes off it. Gets into face of the quarterback. That's a good job. He batted 1 down. The kid's tall, man. He's I'm 6'5" and he's taller than me. He's a big, tall kid.
Mike Morris, you're talking about?
Yeah. He's a big, tall kid, and he swatted 1 down. Here we go. 2nd and 5. Again, it looks like normal personnel. 2 defensive tackles in the game. 2 edges in the game. And they're trying to run the football stuff. Jenkins was solid on that play. Mozzie was good on that play. That's the stuff, man. That's got to be so frustrating. He picks up nothing. That was again, I don't know if they called Jenkins his name, but he ate up a double team.
It looked like Kenneth Grant was in there as well.
No, I don't think Kenneth Grant played at all today, Danny. I didn't see 70.
I just looked. I thought I saw 78 in there, so I could.
Well, maybe it was. I thought maybe it was mine. It was 58, I think. So here we go. 3rd and 4. Again, we get some nice contain, but they pick it up. They get it back leaking out.
But there's a penalty on them. This one's coming back.
Yeah, what was the penalty there? Oh, that was the one. That was the offensive interference. Yeah, I saw it right away. They block our linebacker, and again, these are the little things. We pointed it out last week. Our tight end, we ran this play on the goal line where our tight end caught the ball on the line on our side of the line of scrimmage. Their guy, he's just not thinking, man. He caught it on their side of the line of scrimmage, or on the defensive side of the line of scrimmage. So this is coaching, and this is just being a smart player. So now we get them in 3rd and 19.
Yeah.
And now we can bring in the edge rushers. Now we take out now everything changes now. Now we got 3 edge players in the game. And now we can run some stunts. We can move some people. And now they got to try to figure out who's coming. Now we bring 5. And this play bugged me because Mullins goes outside. He should have gone inside. Luckily, we run it down, get a nice hit on him. But that play would have been stuffed if our linebacker would have gone to the proper gap on that blitz that the coach called the right stunt, but he went outside, and but we get him stopped, but not now he's going to go for it on 4th down, and now we got to play football again. Whereas if our linebacker would have gone and blitzed the right gap, it would have been probably a sack.
25 years ago, Michigan had a safety named Dadrian Taylor at Penn State. He came up and put a lick on a Penn State player.
Here you go, Denny. 4th and 6.
I think they
time
out here.
Yeah, here's 4th and 6, and now again we're going to bring some pressure. We can get exotic with our stunts. It's a totally different game plan. We're not playing 1st and 10 run. We're going to come out with some, put their offensive line in conflict and try to give them some problems.
Yeah, and this was the last play that we'll show. This was the biggest, in my mind anyways, the biggest defensive play of the game. And this was where they target Agent Zero, and Michigan has already had the 67-yard run. Look at, they're going to go, nice foreshadowing there, because they're going to go at 0 on this play.
So here we go. We got normal. Actually, we have normal personnel in the game, and we got 2 defensive tackles in the game. But we're bringing extra players. So let's see how many we bring. We bring 5, and it's good coverage. With a perfect pass, it probably could have been completed.
Yeah,
he had some good coverage where he made him throw a perfect ball. But I'll tell you what, Danny, I'll give credit. I will give credit to the Penn State offensive line coach, because I think they're pretty good. They're all, because we didn't get any pressure other than scheme. I think we had 0 pressure out of 1st and 10 when they threw the ball early on. We didn't get pressure. We got pressure later on when when it was 3rd and 8 and more. But their offensive line pass protection was outstanding for Penn State.
Get ready.
Yeah, here's a well blocked play. Another running back untouched. We come off the ball. We just down block. We put our tight end to seal the edge. It's kind of a version of the power play because everybody's blocking down. Everybody just blocks down from to their left. And again, this is one of them plays where the play is supposed to hit wider, but Corum he's got great vision, Denny, and he sees something. He sees something real quick, and he saw something that a gap in there, and he took it. And this is why it's hard to defend. If I'm watching film of this guy and I'm like, wow, this play's supposed to be hit here, but he cuts it way back over here. So it's really tough on the defense. So the kid's got great vision.
Yeah, there they are. Bowing to him. It was a lot of fun. Watching the 3rd quarter and big plays, explosive plays, won by Edwards, turn them over on downs, and then Blake Corum. I got to tell you, there was somebody that was complaining about Michigan running on 1st down. Why do they run on 1st down? Well, both the Donovan Edwards 67-yard run.
Watch the down blocks here, Denny. So everybody's blocking down, and now that place could have hit outside, but he cuts it way back inside. He had 2-3 gaps he could have picked from. That play is probably what we'd call, that would look like a more of an inside zone philosophy, because you had some double teams in there. And they seal the edge with the backside tight end, but there was a lot to. He had his pick of a couple gaps in there, and sometimes when you see that, Denny, it's about scheme too defensively. So I said it once, I'm going to say it again. I'm glad Manny Diaz is coaching the defense over there at Penn State.
All right. It is a final 41-17. You'll see Scar coming up on Monday. He'll diagram some plays about 28-10 Tennessee up on Alabama. Woo! Impressive there for Rocky Top. Scar, final thought. Go ahead.
Great win. Looks like we came out healthy. We're a 7-0 football team. We're going into the break. What's great about having Michigan State, over that long 2-week period, is there'll be a lot of enthusiasm to keep the juices flowing for 2 weeks. Coach will give them a couple days off. He'll probably have the young guys do some scrimmaging this week, probably Thursday or something like that. You'll have some big time scrimmages for a lot of young players. But we are looking good. Everything's positive. Great. You said it, man. Program win, and we're celebrating in Ann Arbor tonight.
All right, go celebrate, Scar. Go have some fun. For Jim Scarcelli, thanks for Trevor McHugh for joining us and everybody else as well. We'll talk with you Monday at 1 o'clock, 41-17. See you then.